And it's the tech gods. They need their little sacrifices. All right, let's see if we make it on. Let's see if he'll let us go. Let's see if you guys were loud enough. It looks like you were. All right, let's get that squared away. Cut that down. Let's record this to the cloud. We're not going to switch.
Did you talk to my PR people before you started recording shit though, Ryan? I don't think that you did.
Your people?
My PR
Your
people.
PR
Yeah, my
people?
PR.
Is that your
Yeah.
dog?
That's actually the cat, Mr. Loki.
Mr. Loki. Mr. Loki said, take him.
Yeah,
Get him out of here.
all the tax documents are in the cat's name and
All right. We are on. All right, everybody. This is day 5, the last event of day 5 of Go Whiskey Week. Now, it's just the last event for today.
yes.
There's plenty more all this weekend, and it's crazy. Go to juliusliquors.com, go to tastings and events to see them all. But this is one of my favorite because about a year ago today, pretty close, about a year ago today, we had the fortunate ability to actually introduce Massachusetts to Dark Arts Whiskey House. And my good friend Macaulay is up here today. And it's been a whirlwind ride, I should say, since then. You've sort of blown up.
We've in a year we've expanded into almost 30 states across the United States, and we have 80 different products in our portfolio, which is unheard of and a compliance officer's nightmare.
Yes.
We have won several different awards competitions, introduced new products. But the most thing I'm proud of right now is we're actually going to be at the newest addition to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail this year.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations. Which basically means Scully sits in the parking lot and hands out samples. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be fun.
oh yeah.
Listen, I'm looking up here. We got Field of Rainbow up here. We got all the different colors. We got all the different whiskeys. And the really thing is that he says that there's like 80 different ones out there because really, other than sort of your core, and I want to say expressions, not really a core lineup as an expression because it does change slightly because everything's custom. Like everything is custom other than those. Even those are only 3-barrel batches.
Correct.
So they're going to change a little bit too. So everything is really almost a one-off of what you do. And that's what I think makes it so much fun. And he's a good friend because I'll tell you what he's a good friend is because he lets Randall and I run amok in his barrel house and start blending stuff together, which we thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, I have to almost think about telling the story about how we became friends, though.
I'll tell it. You want me to tell it? You can. I'll tell it from my side.
I'll start it off. So, once upon a time, I worked at a different distillery, and I was the
Lie.
barrel
That's
guru.
a lie. He started off with no. I'm just kidding.
I was the barrel guru of this facility, and I was the head of the single barrel pick program. And this one individual kept emailing us and asking us about doing barrel picks, and I kept telling them no. So then they decided to reach out to another interesting person in the whiskey industry.
Yeah.
Part of the bourbon Illuminati and one of the largest bourbon trolls in the world that I've ever met in my life. And that guy actually was friends with my boss, Shane Baker. So I got an email saying, hey, we need to let this guy Ryan come in and do a barrel pick. So this is during my kind of barrel shortage inventory, so it really wasn't selling. It wasn't anything personal against him. So Ryan got an appointment scheduled, and I let Mr. Ryan sit in the tasting room for about 15 to 20 minutes over time from the original appointment, just to give you a little kind of just a general fuck you almost at that point.
And I took it. And I took it.
And me and Ryan, we started, it was like cats and dogs, grease and water for a minute. He was being super nice.
About a hot minute.
And we started diving into some whiskey, and we started talking and actually kind of communicating and starting a little bit of a friendship at that point. And I remember that we were going through the facility and we're drinking New Make, and we started talking about another Scotch whiskey that we both love, Springbank, local barley, and we just kind of had that moment that it was just like, wow, did we just become best friends?
We got so I gotta and I'm gonna reel it back a little bit. So we started talking about when we he came in and finally let me in. I go, motherfucker's mad at me. I really know he is because he's just letting me sit out here. I'm gonna pay the price because this is the price. I never go over somebody's head, but I felt so strongly that this brand should be here. And the other place I used to work at and I had to be there, that I was willing to do this one thing and this one time. And he started letting me stew out there, and I'll eat it because I just knew it was going to be worth it. And then when we started tasting, we started getting like we're comparing same notes. We're like, hey, we could do something like this. Really? Do you know how to do that? Yeah, we could do this. And we before I left, we had a project already in the works, and that was the first maple barrel finished whiskey to come out of that distillery before we even finished. And then here's the other part. He was ticked at me. I bought 6 barrels. He's like, yeah, sure, buy that one, sure, buy that one, and we really did have like a good common theme. We were really getting along. He says, I think now he's warming up. He says, let me take you for a tour of the distillery. And we get to the still, and he says, you want to try some new make? And I said, I'd love to try some new make. And I tried the new make, and I go, you know what? That's probably the second best new make I've ever had. And now he's ticked again. Second best? And I go, dude, I just got to tell you, Springbank could bottle their new make and I would drink it. And you go, you like Springbank? And then that was it. Like we were like best buds after that. And we did a project together and we just been doing stuff ever since. And then when he started this, he says, Ryan, I'm going to start this venture. And Randall, we had done some stuff. We had done some blending and stuff at the old place. He said, I'm starting this new venture. I said, you let us know if there's anything we can help you with. We're going to help you with it. And he invited us down, and we just started picking barrels and putting stuff together, and the rest is out of history.
Well, honestly, I mean, like we kind of joke about that story and give a little colorful language in that, but we that project that we worked on together was we did some barrel blends together, and
Yep,
then we ended up taking some of those original barrels and sending them to Vermont, aging maple syrup with in them, and bringing them back to Kentucky and aging whiskey, and that was the first barrels of whiskey that I'd ever finished in my career and then turned into a finishing and blending house
that's
after
right.
that. So it's just funny how the universe doles out the coins to you, and either you can cash in on them or let them go to the wayside. So Brian's been a very instrumental person in this company, and that those little things like that that you don't really think about until you're sitting right here, or kind of put what the creative spark into what dark arts has been. I mean,
I'll take
maybe
full credit then.
maybe if we didn't have that, maybe if we didn't have that situation, this company wouldn't even be like, existing.
And now everybody congratulate him. He's engaged.
Yes.
I get to meet this girl because we got to have a talking to. Um, but this is the same. This is the type of thing that happens in this industry is that you do become friends with a lot of people that you do business with because you have a common theme. There's a common love of what we're putting together and what we're doing. And I think Macaulay, Randall, and I actually show that with just how we treat each other and how the stuff that comes out of that. And you're going to try some of those tonight. We got a bunch of different stuff. You've been doing some great stuff. And let's drink some whiskey before they go,
Yes,
stop this
please.
sappy stuff. We're here to drink whiskey. So, tell us what we're going to try tonight because it is a virtual rainbow up here.
Oh wow, we have a whole bouquet at that
Yeah,
point of different whiskey flavors. So you'll see these different color iterations up here, and these are significant of the mash bill foundation whiskey that goes into there, with the exception of the blue label, which always represents our custom blending program. So we got 5 different whiskeys or bourbon whiskeys and 3 rye whiskeys that we're going to explore tonight.
Okay. All right. You guys get your trays, you get your mats, right? You're all set to go. All right. Take them on a trip, brother.
Yeah, so sample one that we're going to be trying out is actually our newest addition to the lineup. So this is a Kentucky High Rye bourbon from a sweet mash fermentation facility that
Oh, I know where that is.
me or Ryan may or may not have met at. But this one takes a little bit of different twist than what they've ever done. I actually aged this with toasted Mizunara. So this product here is used with 2 different toast profiles of Mizunara and bottled at 100 proof. We actually partnered with, not partnered, but when I created this company, I didn't want it ego driven or anything like that. So the whole idea was kind of bring in different people to help do blending projects. So when I launched this product, I reached out to 2 of my really good friends, or 2 groups of friends. It's Bourbon Night. If you guys have ever heard of them, Chad and Sarah. So I actually let Chad and Sarah blend this first batch. The second batch was blended by the Bourbon Junkies, and then the third batch was blended by me. So we're kind of doing a little content creation on it. We're going to come out with some promotional materials, and then we're going to do a little nationwide competition to see who did it best. But let's just dive into this one a little bit. So high rye bourbon.
I should probably point out to you that like I should point out to them is like I know you do the bourbon and the whiskey can come from anywhere. You're not set into any one house. You might have a lot that come from a certain place and some that come from certain, but you're just out there finding whiskey that you can use to do what you do, like some of the finishes and stuff, right?
Exactly. We curate the best barrels that we can from the industry. I mean, we have anything from 4-year-old to 17-year-old whiskey in the profile, rye, bourbon, American single malt. So that's why there's no distillery name in the title of that. But I do say that with a caveat too. We have actually acquired a new facility in Lexington, and we will be opening the whiskey house to the public. It will be considered a distillery, but I am not calling it a distillery. I'm calling it Dark Arts Whiskey House and Alchemist Research Lab. So we will continue under this brand to curate the best whiskey that's age profile and then delve into different things, different mash bills.
Now does that allow you to basically be like a rectifier and do certain things as you bring stuff in too?
It does. At this facility, there's actually a 20-gallon pot still in there, so
Okay.
it's not a large production facility, but we will be evolving out of that. So I've spent a lot of time studying gin, absinthe amaro. I'm gonna really hyper focus on American single malt, doing mixed culture fermentation.
Cool.
I've got a good friend, Royce Neely at Neely Family
Yeah.
Distillery. He's actually putting a 3-chamber still in right now, and we've talked to a few whiskey historians, and me and Mr. Neely will be the 2 of the first distillers in history to make American single malt on a 3-chamber still. So that's kind of the
That's
beauty
really
of
cool.
it, and the whiskey house is it's just not a one-dimensional project. It's
And it's
ever
outside of the box
evolving.
thinking, you know, on a lot of stuff. It's like, you know,
And a couple tabs of acid or a little ayahuasca helps you get to that point of life.
that's the flavor note I was getting.
But let's see what you think about this. Let you put you on the spot and
So,
see what you're pulling out of this
well,
one.
I mean, the fact that you didn't invite Randall and I down to do this, and we've every time we've done it, we've beaten everybody else, but that's beside the point.
Well,
This one's very good. I like this.
you actually
I
did beat the
oh
it's bourbon night last time we
oh,
did this little
there's he's sneaking around over
competition.
there. I see Randall Bird over there. We did three little pigs in a blanket, which was one of the ones that we did with you at the old place. So if you got any of you guys have that one out there, that's a really good one. I like this. I think the toast element is really good,
Yeah, and this one
and
is
I think and it adds something to it.
this one's going to be a little bit more introductory because it's 100 proof.
Right.
It's non-age stated, but it is a blend of 4.5 and 5-year-old
Yep.
whiskeys using 2 different toast profiles from the Mizunara. So when I started doing my Protostep research on the Mizunara, I found that the light toast actually pulled out more of the aromatic profile to it, whereas the medium toast profile that we custom created pulled out a little bit of the flavor on it. So that's a 3 barrel blend using both of those elements on there.
It's almost got like a little like almost like sandalwood or something like that.
So I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what I pull out from it. So for me, have y'all ever had any of been to the gas station and you know those like cinnamon roll things with no icing on it, those pecan pinwheels on there? That's what I get out of it, you know, being a simple man from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a floral note to it, and floral can, it's not a bouquet of flowers, it's sandalwood there. You get a little bit of perceived nuttiness in there, like pecan to almost hazelnut note. And then it brings out some perceived sweetness in there because of the toast profile on it. It's a little bit
What's the
dark.
mash bill? Do you know the mash bill you use?
Yes, I do.
All right.
It's 64 corn, 24 rye, and 12% malted barley.
I like that high malted barley. That's what's giving it. It's got a good mouthfeel to it.
So I think this is going to be our number one selling product in the portfolio. This one's going to be a little bit more friendly to the wallet than some of the rest of the portfolio that we got going
Well, I
on.
mean that's gonna be a concern with you because I mean you are doing some more exotic stuff, and that gets expensive really fast. I mean, not saying Mizunara isn't, but I'm just saying but you are doing some stuff that it has to demand a higher price because there's no other way to do it. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, when we approach this, and I mean, the next whiskey that we're gonna try kind of involves that same mindset of that is you don't sacrifice quality for financials on it. Like when I started this company, I knew that this was going to be a niche company. I don't expect to see this at a liquor store like Walmart or
you
Walgreens,
better not. That means you
with
sold
the
out.
rest of the Kendall Jacksons and everyone else. Like this is a very niche company,
Right.
very complicated or not complicated, but complex product that we have in here.
You want to join us up here? All right, Randall's up.
Damn it,
Randall's up.
Randall.
Randall. What do you guys think? The Mizunara? Like good? Yeah, it's really. I think it's excellent. Really nice. All right, what's the next one?
The next one is part of the OG lineup, the core lineup. So this is our French oak bourbon. So this one is actually used with a very specific varietal of French oak called Jupi. So Jupi is a reference to the forest origin in France that it comes from. Typically, this wood is harvested for ultra, ultra, ultra premium wine production. When I was doing my Protosep research to develop my French oak product, I probably had 40 to 50 different toast profiles, origins of different forests, and almost all of them were duds because my problem with French oak is the tannins. So tannins really
Mm.
good for wine production, not so great for whiskey production because I've always had in my mentality when I'm scoring barrels or picking barrels, if I have to have a bottle of water to get through a dram of whiskey, it's just not for me. So when I found this wood profile, it gave me a very nice savory French oak note. We decided to work with the cooperage to fine tune the toast profile on it. So this is a very heavy, heavy, heavy toast profile. It almost looks charred without the crackling of like the alligator char, if you will. So what that does is it has
So like me in the morning when I put my toast in, I forget about it and then come back and it's not quite burnt to a crisp, but it's real dark.
there you go, exactly. That caramelized wood sugar brings out notes of toffee.
Mm.
That wood profile matched up with the rye also brings out a little red fruit. And then it being a heavily toasted piece of wood, high rye mash bill, and 108 proof, you kind of get a little spicy dance party on the end of the palate there.
Yeah, it really it's all up in the front of the tongue. When you're drinking this, it's all up there. It's really good.
So, if you don't mind, keep a little bit of that in that glass because
And
we're
you
going
have to
to.
say that at the beginning. They don't have anything left.
We're,
They drank it all already.
that's okay. We can get a refill, I'm sure.
Uh,
But we're about to try the same mash bill, different finishing in
oh, okay.
just a moment. So that is the idea of it.
All right. We'll play along with your little game. That's really good. What do you guys think of that one?
We had some pretty good success with this and to the competitions this year. This one won 99 points in double gold at San Francisco and Mr. Minute gave this a double platinum. It hit the Ascot Awards this year, so very nice to have those accolades. But
Yeah, it's more important to sell whiskey though.
it is, but it's also nice to have someone other than your mother tell you that the whiskey tastes good,
I don't know. She's got a pretty good palate though, so I don't know about that. All right, she's still coming up and helping you out.
She has been.
Nice, a very nice lady.
Yeah, when I started this company, I was working full time at another distillery. I'd drive an hour and we would go blend whiskey until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd drive back and get up at 7 a.m., do my day job and keep it going. And my mother was one of the most supportive people. She came up and stayed with me for almost 4 months, helping me get the foundation whiskey blended and did everything in her power to help me get this off the ground. She's super proud of me, and it's amazing for her to be able
She's a
to
super
see
nice
these
lady.
projects and these bottles all over the state of Florida where she lives and know that she had a part of that.
And plus, she has a lot of friends too that buy the whiskey.
Of course.
There you go. Support my son.
Yeah, she's the number one taster in the
That's
state
right.
of Florida.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Whiskey, yeah. So.
That's right. All right. What do you guys think of? Do you like that French wood? We did one called. We did one that we blended together. It was the Armagnac and that French oak too. That was good. I like that one.
That was last year's custom blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that custom blend actually got me and Ryan a little bit of publicity. Our friends at Whiskey Advocate wrote an article for the web platform last year.
That's true.
That article has since been published and will be in the spring edition of the print edition. And
they moved it off to summer. I just found that out today.
Well, shit.
But they expanded the article.
Like Sean's coming.
Sean's coming. Yeah, Sean.
I'm hanging out with him Tuesday in Lexington for the first time.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Hobnobber. Oh, that's great. I just made the introduction.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to know me.
Sometimes it's good to know me too.
That's right. That's right. All right. So what's the next one?
The next one is what we call barely legal bourbon. So barely legal bourbon is a reference to the mash bill. It's a super unique mash bill because it is actually a 2-grain whiskey. So it's 51% corn, 39% rye, and 10% malted rye. So this one is always bottled at cask strength. So you'll see a little bit of proof differential and bottlings. So the lowest that we've ever put out was 107 proof at cask strength, and the highest was 123. This one clocks in at 114.6 proof.
Now, explain to everybody how you're doing these because they're batchings, but they're like 3-barrel batchings, right?
Correct. So when it's funny because does anyone know what the definition of small batch means?
There isn't one.
Correct. So I'm going to tell a story for a second. So I was at a distillery conference and they decided to bring in all the master blenders and distillers into a lunchroom, if you will, and put them at different tables. And I got sat down with the quality control table. And it's myself, another gentleman from Peg Leg Porker, and then we were also sitting across the people from Maker's Mark, Beam Satori, all those guys. And they're talking about how consistency, how you're supposed to blend whiskey. And me and the other guy were looking at each other just like, oh man, these fucks don't know what they're talking about right now. And I looked at them after they were singing their praises and how everything is done. And I was like, okay, well, everything that you say is the right way to do it. I do the exact opposite of it because I don't blend for consistency. So Maker's Mark, if you buy it here, if you buy it in California, by 2 years down the road, it should taste exactly the same, correct? But the thing that we do different with these small batch products is I don't blend for consistency. So every batch is going to have a little bit different nuance of flavor and aromatic. This one's going to have a proof differential, whereas a couple of them have 108 versus 100 proof. So I try to make it interesting. So think about I guess the best way to put it is think of a winery. You love this winery, but every year the grapes have a little bit different property to it. So everything is going to be kind of in that narrow wheelhouse, but just have a little bit variation.
It's like a vintage almost.
Yeah,
right?
vintage. That's a great way to say it. A little bit different of aromatic and flavor to it, but still kind of in that tight center.
See the way like when you're making that much whiskey, like or the big houses, is you start cross Xing the rick houses, right? Because the more you mix together, the more homogenous it becomes, right? And I mean that's sort of
Correct.
the sort of the reasoning behind what they're doing. If you're not looking at it that way and you don't have like a hundred, I mean, you can make this with 10, but by doing it in threes, you're really you're always going to have a difference. There's no way around it. We always talk about a single barrel being it is a singularity. There's nothing, you can't do anything to it. You can't change it. You can't do anything to it. Either it has to be spectacular, or you don't make a single, you don't bottle as a single barrel. When you start doing ones and threes, twos and threes, then you can change it a little bit, but not much, because you have to pick barrels that are they're gonna interact with each other like puzzle pieces.
Well, I will honestly say from my experience of the different places that I've worked, it's a lot more difficult to hit a 3 barrel blend than it is to
Right, because
go in and make
there's no error.
a center cut of the Rick House, if you will.
Right.
So
There's
there,
nowhere to go.
and I think it's important to note that, like, I guess the way that I perceive myself in the industry and in my company is very important because, so do you view yourself as a quality control scientist, or do you view yourself as an artist who uses whiskey as their medium?
Right.
And I'm on the latter part of that, even though I have a microbiology background and was head of quality control, master taster blender. But I view whiskey as my medium, and I view myself as an artist, and this is my art that we're displaying tonight. And with that, this invokes emotion, it invokes taste, flavor, and it puts you in a sense of mind and space that, rather than a mass consumer project or something that's coming out of a plastic jug.
You like the plastic jug, though. I think you like. No, but the other part of that too is when you guys are when you're tasting these, and it comes down to, because there's other people that sort of take some of this um, this road. It was a lot of like Glen Rothus when they used to do their vintages. If you like something, then you should buy another bottle of that one, because it is going to change. So if something really hits you really strongly, that may not necessarily always be that way. You still like it, but if you like one more than the other, you should grab more of it, because it is going to change slightly, because you can't make it taste the same. Nor do you want to.
I don't want to.
Yeah. So, all right. What do you guys think of barely legal bourbon?
Who tastes that chocolate note on the back end of that one?
It's a milk chocolate. I like that one. I'm gonna have to get that one. Which batch is this? Do I have that batch?
Catherine, put him down for 100 cases,
100 cases of the
whatever, and we'll print the label for the same thing as it says right here. Okay.
Yeah. I figured that was the case. I really like that one. We don't have any more of that one. No, I really like that one. Okay, I'll print you a label that says that. You'll be fine.
Of course.
You'll be
You know
fine.
how it goes, Ryan. That's what they do at every other distillery out in the world.
That's right. No, but I do.
How many barrels have been lost and then magically have the correct number on the front of it? Not from me.
No, and that's a big problem. Randall talks about that all the time. Is the disconnect that can happen when you start getting into the bottling room and stuff like that, and if somebody's not paying attention, you bottled the wrong thing. We have been fortunate that has not happened, but which is one of the reasons that I keep our barrel sample until the barrel comes. There's always slight differences. It'll never be exactly the same, because that's still, by the time they put it in and they bottle it and they do all this other stuff, it's got a little bit more age. It depends if they're bringing the proof strength down, that makes a thing. But we actually take that sample if we're doing it here, and we do keep it because we do match it up by flavor, not what it says on the outside. And that's important, because that does happen. I've seen it happen. It's happened more than once. We're really strict about it. We're anal about that, because we want to make sure that we're getting what we ordered. You know,
It happens all the time.
it happens though. All right, what's the next one? Oh, is this the one we were supposed to save some of two with?
Maybe.
All right. All right.
That was a theory.
All right. All right. This is number 4, right?
So number four, we're actually swapping gears here. So we got to try some secondary finishes of wood. We did an unfinished whiskey. This is actually the first wine finish that we're going to get into tonight. So this one, this one's got a funny story to it. All whiskey has a story behind it, which is the thing that I love about the whiskey industry. Like, how many stories behind vodka do you have other than just regret or
Well,
making
it's
a
usually
Bloody
the story
Mary?
after you drank vodka. The story is usually afterwards. You know, you can dance vodka.
So I have a lot of my specialty is I import exotic wood from Japan, Africa, South America, a lot of French oak profiles, American oak profiles, wine and spirits barrels from all over Europe and the United States. And those barrels aren't cheap, by the way. So I actually imported a lot of Calvados, Armagnac, and Cognac barrels one time. And I got this one barrel that had a plastic piece of paper on it that said it was Calvados, but it was clearly spray painted Marsala wine on the side of the barrel. And I was pissed about it because I spent almost $1,300 to import this cask. And I was like, I don't never even had Marsala wine. I know what Marsala chicken is. Like, who's drank Marsala wine in here before, honestly? I didn't see a single hand go up on that. So that proves my point. So
We sell it, by the way, just in case you were wondering. People do drink it. It's actually quite good. It's Italian. It's Sicilian, by the way. Yeah.
so we got this barrel in. It smelled incredible. So I was like, all right, let's throw some. I picked out a whiskey that I thought would go well with it. And it was just an eyesore to me. It just brought trauma back to my mindset. I was pissed off about it. I actually called the CEO of this company and gave him some very colorful language and opinions of my mindset and French business people. But we'll dial down that one a little bit. But this whiskey was sitting in there, and this is my stepchild that I can't stand to see, and it's conveniently redheaded in that bottle, so you know how that goes. So
The
finally,
letters are coming right now. Redheaded stepchild. And he said that. And might as well said it was adopted. And, whatever.
but I finally
Do they
cracked
have a soul?
gingers. Yes, do they? That's
I think I'm
um,
okay.
yeah.
You may have been ginger at one time, but your barber said no.
So left this one in the warehouse for a while and just didn't care about it. And then you know how it goes. You're like, all right, curiosity speaking to me. So I drilled into this, and it was just like, damn it, I was wrong. My whole mindset and anger towards this French gentleman was taken out in the wrong
No, he gave you some
sense.
credit, so you were okay
Oh
with
yeah, I
it.
got
Yeah,
my money
I
back
get your
on
money
it,
back.
and then I actually got more money out of you so I could buy a diamond for my fiance out of the situation. And
I am very happy to facilitate love. How's that?
yeah, thank you. I need a couple more barrel picks out of you
Yeah,
real quick.
exactly. Yeah, but the funny part of that's the other part of that story is so Randall and I are over there and he's pulling barrel samples and we started blending some stuff together and we're putting stuff we're doing stuff and he goes, "Hey, you guys want to buy any single barrels too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you got?" And he starts saying, like, "Oh, well, try this." And I go, "Oh, I really like that one." And he said, "Yeah, this is a Marcella barrel." And I go, "Yeah, I could taste the Marcella in that." They go, "I've actually drunk it." Um, and I go, "Yeah, how about this barrel?" And you're like, then he immediately became the father that didn't want to let the child go. He was like, "No, I don't think so. I think I get like some projects for this one. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're gonna do this." And he's got this big long diatribe of all the stuff he was now gonna, how magnificent this barrel was and gonna do it. And I later find out this story is like, it's like a mistake. But the whole thing was like, okay, 15 cases. And he goes, okay, like 15 cases. And that's where this came. So there were only 15 cases of this barrel in Massachusetts. So he let me buy some of it, but he wouldn't let me buy all of it because that's the way he is.
Yeah, the rest of that one actually has a picture of my Sphinx cat, and we have on the side of
I
it.
thought that was going in a whole
And,
other direction.
we,
I really did. Sorry, guys. Sphinx. No.
well, once upon a time when we first started out this business, we were going to open up a facility and hit some roadblocks. But I got drunk in the pool one night and decided that we needed a distillery cat. So I bought a $5,000 Sphinx cat
Yep.
for the distillery. And Mr. Loki has only been to work one day. And now he's the house cat. So I can't let my baby boy go to work now. So we have to get a secondary Sphinx to go to work. The distillery cat. But
Thank
now,
God he's getting married. And this would have been the House of Cats. Eh,
uh, choose enough.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what they always say. Um, but what do you guys think of this barrel? That's really good, right? Can you taste the Marsala? Those of you who've had Marsala before, not cooked in veal or chicken. No, you can taste it. It's really good.
So when I first drilled it in this barrel before we actually pulled samples or me and Ryan tried it together, I thought strawberry rhubarb pie is what I got from it. And that's why I fell in love with it.
It's good.
So there's more Marsala barrels coming from Europe.
Labeled Calvados. I want the ones that are labeled Calvados. It, that this reminds me of a story that I used to do. I used to blend wines, and I used to import wines for
Franzia?
Brian Group. No,
Oh.
no. But one of the things we used to do is we made like we would make wine for the U.S. market in like England, and they would be two different wines, but they'd be the same label. So one of the things we had done is we had some wine come in. We brought it in, and all of a sudden, I got a phone call, and they said, "Hey, do you have any more of that white Merlot?" We don't do a white Merlot. That's not one of those we do. It's really good. All the customers really love it, and they want some more of the white Merlot. And I go, okay, can you send me a picture of one of your white Merlots? Because here it was a white wine in a Merlot bottle. And I go, that's Sauvignon Blanc. We did a Sauvignon Blanc, and somebody put the wrong label on it. And the funny part was it went to one store. They wouldn't believe him. They said it's not Sauvignon Blanc, it's white Merlot, and we want more of it. And I said, I go, well, let me call around. There actually was two other mistake cases, and I went and drove and picked them up and brought it back for his customers to be happy. So, but the thing is this the same thing with you. Now all of a sudden I want Calvados barrels, but I want the ones that that have Marsala in them. Stuff happens. Stuff
Yeah.
happens. A lot of weird stuff happens in this industry that you don't know
I
about.
can promise you that the A team does not work in the rick house or the bottling facility.
Yep. 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 So I think this was a really, this was a grand mistake. It's really good.
Some would say divine.
Divine. All right, we'll say divine. If it's divine, it had nothing to do with you. All right. So what's the next one?
The next,
Oh, by the way, let me see that bottle for a second. No, the other, the Marcella one. Yeah, the Perpentium. This one's called Perpentium. The Perpentium. Perpentium is the Solera system that is used to make Marcella wine. All right. So I tied it together for you. You're welcome.
I read that shit in the email and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Then I realized I had named the three barrels that we had just gotten all with P's. And then I was like, oh, why did I do that? Everybody's going to be so confused, including me. But it was okay. So now we can go to the next one.
Well, what's this mean before we get into it?
It's Latin.
Is that not the same thing?
Portentum is good fortune and is like doing well. It's a good sign of things to come. And that was another B. And I was like, I don't know what possessed me, but that's where we're at.
I took 4 classes of Latin in college and I still don't understand any of that bullshit. I actually told my last professor, I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Latin's dead for a reason.
You can't say this as if you're going to be the alchemist. Half the stuff is in Latin, by the way. Just pointing it out to you.
Yeah, I didn't realize that now.
Yeah, now you realize it.
But I don't need to conjugate the verbs.
That's true. That's true. You don't need that anymore. My daughter goes. Did you guys know about this? It's sort of like a thing on a trend, I guess, on TikTok, and that all men think about the Roman Empire like I don't know, like once a day or once a week or something like that. So my youngest daughter comes to me and she goes, "Dad, do you ever think about the Roman Empire?" I'm a classical studies major in college, and I actually studied archaeology. I went to the Aegean Institute for archaeology, right? And so we're sitting in my den, and there's like Greek and Roman like statues and books like everywhere. And I go, occasionally, honey. I said, I think you picked the wrong male adult to ask that to. I said, but the real reason, and pertains to today. I said, the real reason I always think about the Roman Empire driving in Massachusetts is I go, the Romans could build a road that lasts 1,000 years, and we can't get through one season without a pothole the size of my truck. That's how I think about the Roman Empire. He's right.
100%.
What do you want? You asked the wrong adult. Ask somebody. Do you guys, anybody else think about the Roman Empire? Like once a week? No? All the time? Yeah. Thanks, Kavor, for backing me up. That makes me feel a lot better.
Who thinks about the Portuguese Empire?
No one.
Well, shit, you just shot yourself in the foot on that one because.
This is I get it. No one now except for wine. The only time they think about it is for wine.
Because what the next one is a.
So this is actually a follow-up for Portal, which was named by Randall, of the rye that we did that was a blend of 2 barrels, 1 white port and 1 red port. This is now a bourbon, white port, red port, 2 barrels. This is a micro batch of 2 barrels. So this one is. And this was really good, I thought. It was really good.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't tell you this earlier, but I thought it was so good that I'm actually going to release this as my 3rd LTO of the year now. So,
bitch.
You'll be seeing another version of this called Sunshine Daydream.
Sunshine Daydream. He's stealing it
as a red and white port bourbon.
It's good. Came out really good. Number 5.
Number 5.
What do you guys think of this one? Isn't that really good? Get those sort of that red fruit notes from that ruby port. Yep.
If anyone can guess the proof on the dot, I will buy you a bottle of whiskey of the Dark Arts collection tonight. So put your name. If you have a pen and paper, write your name on there. Your tasting.
You said there was going to be a test.
Well, if you want a free bottle of whiskey, you'll participate. So we're not going to say that one out loud just yet.
Okay.
And no looking online.
Did anybody else have a question? This one? Portentum. 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 What was the other one that we had done? That was we did a Calvados one from Cavalon. We did a Cavalon one that was port finished. But we named it after the musical term. Portamento. We did a Cavalon barrel that was Portamento. And it was a musical term, and they were pissed because they use all musical terms for their whiskey. And they never thought to use that for port. And it's a transfer on the it's sort of a bridging of in musical terms. It's like a bridging. I'm like, okay, sorry. Someday you can get it. This is great. I like this one a lot. This is brand new. So the last 2 you tried just arrived. We just released these barrels. No.
How many people in the house drink port?
Not enough of you.
Okay, out of you that have your hands up, who drinks white port?
You can raise it high. Don't be ashamed. Don't let him shame you. Raise it.
No, it's
white port.
It's hard to find.
It is fine. It is difficult.
So,
just bringing this up, March 8th here at Julia's Liquors, we're doing a port and stout festival.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get more people to drink port any way I can.
Can you quit scheduling this shit when it's cold as fuck up here for me? By the way,
Sorry, I'm sorry. I gotta say sorry to everybody online now. Yeah, we'll have stuff in the summer.
thank God.
We do. We have stuff in the summer. But we're doing the Port and Stout Festival next March 8th. So if you want to try some ports out and some stouts, it's a good one to go to.
Yeah, I think it's probably important to talk about port for here for a second to see where
Sure.
these flavors come from. So basically, there's three different ports in the family. There's white port, red port, and Madeira. For me, see what you think on this. Like Madeira is going to be the most rich flavor. It's going to have more of that, like the dried fig, rich
It's got that
fruit,
nuttiness
that
too.
nuttiness to it. Red port's pulling out a little bit more of that dried red fruit, a little bit more fresher, not as like
We get a
resinous
lot
or
of really red
molasses.
berry, stone fruit, red berry, like that type of stuff from because depending the red ports can run. It's a root it goes from like ruby and into like you can start getting into a tawny, which has more of that nuttiness to it. But there's a variety in that one. White port is sort of almost on its own.
White port's a little bit more fresh for me.
Yeah.
Like fresh fruit, a little bit more floral brightness to it.
You put a lemon, and you make a spritz out of it.
It's
It's
amazing.
really good. It's really good. That's a summertime drink that a lot of people don't know. If they've had it, they love it.
But all fortified wines that have a higher sugar content that are generally added with a little bit of brandy to kill the fermentation off on it.
Nice.
But just such a beautiful marriage right there.
It is.
And this is actually an 8-year-old whiskey too, which is one of the older of the barrel pick program that we do.
He always saves the best for us.
Always.
He gives me a hard time, but he does save the best for us. So I can't yell at him that much. I'll try that.
And if he did, I wouldn't listen.
I know.
Care
That's the thing. It's like my wife. He doesn't listen to me either. All right. Now we're going to go into like these are ryes, right?
Yeah, we're going into the rye whiskey land right now. So
what's the proof? I can't tell you.
yeah.
Were you not paying attention? He's running. Okay, we want to do this now. Did everybody write it down? What it was? Did you put your name on it? No. They don't have a pen. They don't have a piece of paper. Macaulay just sprung this on us. Like all of a sudden, here.
You have a stack of Post-it notes right there and 20 pens.
Here. Here's some pens. Here's some pens.
And if I see you on your iPhone, I'll cut your finger off.
He means it. He means it too. You got pens?
I have a collection of fingers and dick bones at home. They're called oscillium.
Yeah, I know what they're called. Yeah, that's right. It's a Latin term, by the way.
Yes.
See, you have a funny story about port? Yeah. Yeah. You sent your guests downstairs to get a bottle of wine. I got to tell everybody what's going on here. They're happy when you came home. You should have known something was wrong. Yeah, it's an expensive port wine. Yeah, you should have known when you came home and they were happy. Then there was something wrong. Listen. I got a better one. My grandmother did probably a $300 Bordeaux to make Italian wine cookies. The best wine cookies ever. That was the best Christmas ever. The wine cookies were phenomenal. And you know what was even better was look on my father's face when he realized what bottle she had used. Oh, this is really good. What bottle? Oh, she goes, the one up there. The thing. He goes, but right here? And he goes up there and goes, it's gone. It's gone. I go, no, Dad, it's in the cookies.
Well, that's the benefit of having a son and a grandson in the liquor
That's
industry,
right. That's right. It's the mother-in-law, too. So that was even better. That was great.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, that was great. Me and my sister are like, yeah, this is delicious. So, yeah, there we go. All right. So let's stop. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. You guys will write down your names and send them up here. And make sure John doesn't give you the answer. All right. Let's start with the ryes. We got 3 ryes to go through. 6, 7, and 8 are 3 ryes. So what's the first one?
So these are all the same mash bill. 95.5 rye whiskey from the The fa- the famous Ross and Squibb Distillery, otherwise known as
MGP.
MGP.
Yep.
But these profiles are going to be drastically different. The first one that we're going to be trying is called Dark Star. It's a double oaked whiskey. This one had a very interesting flavor journey and production journey, and this whiskey will never be remade or reconstructed again because they put down. Uh, Let me tell you about their inventory process. They have such a vast quantity of barrels that they do inventory every single day, and it takes 3 years to complete their inventory cycle. Um, they
So they count every day, and to completely count everything that they own, it takes 3 years,
Yes,
and then they start over again.
and they start over again.
Okay.
So
Everybody get that? That's a lot of barrels, man.
this whiskey is 8.5 years
They only have
old.
one guy doing it though.
Oh, there's a team.
No, I don't. Just
Yeah. So this whiskey was first distilled in the barrel shortage. So their team was scrambling to get barrels, and they actually sourced some barrels that were manufactured in or assembled in Mexico. So fast forward 4 years later, they discovered that there was two entire lots of whiskey that leaked out. So we're talking about close to 400 barrels of whiskey that leaked out of these Mexican cooperage barrels. I think there's a reason that Mexico imports all of our old whiskey barrels to make the Reposado and Añejo and all the different things that they do, because they leaked out, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they decided to dump the remnants of it into a vat or blending tank, and they recovered 6 barrels of whiskey out of this.
Out of 400?
Yes.
Wow.
And
I mean, almost like say it almost not even worth it to try to even do it. I mean, the manpower alone.
And there was probably most of them are falling apart. They
Yeah.
just found a couple ones that actually held on to dear life. So they vatted this, and then they put it into number 4 Zach Cooperage barrels, one of my great friends in the industry, families. And they they filled them back up, kind of stuck them away. And I'm really good friends with the master blender, master distiller there. And then during the next inventory process, they kind of refound these barrels, if you will. And they know me. They know I like exotic, off flavors, eclectic whiskeys. So they sent me a sample of this, and I fell in love with it and knew that I needed it. So this is 104 proof, a cask strength, and the oldest double oaked project that I know of.
How old did you say the whiskey is though?
It's 8.5.
8.5. Got some great flavors in there.
If you
It almost like cola.
So
Did you get like a cola nut? Right?
So this is one, when I first tried this, like, it's hard to try to do this, but if you held your nose and took a drink of that, you almost think it's a bourbon because of that secondary maturation process softens it. It involves a little bit more of that vanilla profile into the whiskey, and it being that lower proof, it's a little bit softer, sweeter on there. But if you smell it and approach it, it has that rich rye botanical flavor profile to it.
That's definitely herbal on the nose.
So this is one for me that the nose and the palate do not match up.
It's delicious though. What do you guys think of that one? Good. It doesn't suck, which is the best compliment you can get in New England. We only use the negative for compliment.
Is it wicked?
No, that's not a compliment.
Fuck.
Nope, that's not a compliment either.
I'm still working on my new dialect.
Yeah, are you? There you go. Keep going on that, kid.
Hey,
it'd be we do. It'd be Daxter.
At least I like some of y'all shitty weird sodas up here. What's that stuff called?
Moxie.
Yeah, that's it.
Shitty weird. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Anyone else that I like weird Amaros and things like that. You give that to anyone else in the union, they're like, "What the fuck cat piss is this?"
That's because you're supposed to mix it. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. In Moxie's defense, it's because you're supposed to mix it with rye whiskey.
Yes, and you guys did a great job of that.
Yes. You say that now, but you'll be craving Moxie in a fortnight. All right. What's the next one we got, brother?
So we're circling back into the core lineup. So this is our Amberana Rye Whiskey. So definitely keep a little bit of these last two together because the Amberana Rye Whiskey is part of the core lineup. I'm going to jump in ahead and talk about the last one at the same time. So the last one is a rift on the Amberana Rye Whiskey where we basically do not basically we do a triple maturation. So 7 years into an American oak cask, addition of Amberana for this one on number 7. Number 8, we do a little bit differently. We actually blend that whiskey together and we refill it into maple syrup cask. And this one was dubbed as Ripple Rye. So I knew that I wanted to have a amber on it in the profile, and when I was doing my protostep research, like I just don't like amber on it and rye whiskey, or not rye whiskey, sorry, bourbon,
It
and
overtakes it.
it overtakes it.
It overtakes it,
And
I
I
think.
I tried some lower mash bills of rye, like the 51, 56, things like that. And honestly, this 95.5 held up so much because sometimes when
It's
you're
spice on spice.
it's intensity
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there, and it cuts through on it. And I'll tell you the story about how the Ripple Rye came to be. So 23, I decided I wanted to do some maple rye. We created maple rye together. Love that profile. It's great nuance, sweetness, mouthfeel. And I had one barrel of rye whiskey that same blend that went into it, same lot, or if you will, from the maker. Um, it was terrible. It tasted like dirt on the mid palate. I hated it. I was gonna either dump it out or sell it off to the next sucker in the bulk market. And
Well, the other part of that too is like, and we've been down this road too, is like some people like there's an ass for every seat. You know what I mean? I mean, like you'll go like, I don't like this, and you'll taste it on somebody and they go, oh my God, I want this. The problem is most of those type of people when they buy it and they put it in their store or they put it in their restaurant, no one else likes their weird stuff, and then they have what they call buyer's remorse because they shouldn't have bought it, but they did buy it. We've had that happen a couple times.
well, not everyone has this same threshold of taste perception too.
Yeah. But
So
you hated it. You thought it was dirt. You
I hate
said,
it.
I'm going to do something with it.
I got drunk and I was on the forklift working in the warehouse and decided that I was going to.
Dear OSHA,
Does OSHA even
do
exist
not do
anymore?
not listen to a word he is saying. He was completely sober and he was working hard. Thank you. Sincerely, Macaulay's mom.
Uh,
She'd write that letter.
or DOTA,
Yeah.
the Department of Dark Arts Efficiency.
Oh boy.
So decided to throw a Hail Mary and throw some Amberana in that maple syrup cask, and I stood the barrel upright and buried it in the warehouse. And I think it was 3 or 4 months later, we were reshuffling things, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about this." Decided to drill into it, and it was just one of those like pulled it out, and it was just like, "Oh my God, what did I make?" I fell in love with the profile on it. It added a little bit
A
more
little direction.
rich, like vanilla, and you had a little bit more gingerbread note in it, a little bit more red fruit in it. So 10 minutes later, all the maple syrup barrels had Amberana added to it, and we sold those off as some single barrel picks, and then decided to release that following year, scaled up as Ripple Rye.
Nice. What do you guys think? All right, just out of curiosity, since you're doing, do you like the regular one or the maple rye one? Maple rye, regular one, Aberana only.
So
Yeah,
let me
that's
tell
pretty
you
good.
my tasting notes on Ripple Rye. So imagine a gingerbread village that gets napalm by buttercream icing, and the
Why are all these your things like so violent?
red gumdrop brigade comes into for the final annihilation.
You mixed other stuff in this whiskey, I think. I really think there's some other stuff in there. What's that? The dank. Yeah. Did anybody get a bottle of dank?
Dank Arts.
Dank Arts?
That one is actually coming out here
Another
soon.
one?
When I come out, that's going to be a staple in the project. I have actually, I have how many people have heard of cigar batch before? Okay. How many people have ever heard of a blunt blend before? Okay. So, uh, this is my favorite project that I've worked on.
The research was incredible.
Yes. It was my response to a cigar batch because I don't smoke cigars. I smoke weed. I smoke blunts. So it's kind of a joke in the warehouse with me and another buddy, and like we were always just pushing things together. Like, oh, maybe this is the blunt blend. Maybe this is the blunt blend, and like I think we went through every possible combination of flavors and whiskeys in the house, and then like one night, college professor was there, and we were like, you know what? I was like. I only have like a barrel of this and a barrel of this. Let's try the Armagnac and Madeira out. And it was just like we had that aha moment. We're like, damn it, this is the blunt blend.
And that's the dank
So that was
Arts.
Dank Arts. That was a 7-year-old rye whiskey aged in Armagnac cask and Madeira cask, and trademarked now. So if you see another blunt blend out in the world, you call me. But our buddies
Well,
that
Kim, does it say blunt? Did you trademark blunt blend or a dank art?
blunt blend.
There you go. There you go.
Our friends at Whiskey Advocate actually wrote an article about it, and I learned that I have the honor of making history in the whiskey industry. I was the first person to make a whiskey to be paired with cannabis consumption in mind.
As you were out of your mind in cannabis. Yeah. I got the common theme there. Well, listen, um, I we delicious, all of them. Do you guys like these?
Yeah.
I'm so glad everything is going well. I'm so glad you returned here, even if it's in the wintertime. It's gonna get cold as tomorrow. You're gonna really hate it. Macaulay will be has a table for both the meet and greet and of course the grand dram.
Oh, one last shameless plug.
Okay.
We are actually opening up the whiskey house to the public in Lexington, Kentucky, in the Distillery District, and we will be one of the newest additions to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So please come check us out.
Great. Nothing but the very best success, my friend.
Thank
You know
you.
that. You know that. You can do what. Listen, I would expect you have already done that. No, you can. Yeah, you absolutely. You want to give? Do you want me to give you some ideas? Or just do it on your own. Yeah, do it on your own. I shouldn't tell you how to drink your whiskey. Do it on your own. Have fun. And matter of fact, if you find a good one, buy a bottle of each so you can take it at home.
And please let me know.
And please let Macaulay know. All right, let me go. We're going to get rid of everybody on Facebook. You can also go to It's the Liquor Talk and wherever you get your podcasts and see this, which is really cool, but you should have been here because it was awesome.